This is tough, man. So, YouTube. It's a tough one. So YouTube. Here's the thing. I didn't envision me being on YouTube, speaking or anything like that. I always tried to push my wife to do it because she's incredible. She's, funny, likable, does the best makeup I've ever seen. My personal opinion, of course I'm biased, but she's great. And she sings, a lot of different things that she has. So I've, always told her that she would be great on YouTube. But now we've reached a point where I want to document what God has done in our lives and what He's doing. And if it doesn't turn out the way that I believe it will, then it'll just fall on me. But I do believe that God is really up to something. And I want to be able to document this for our children, showing them what faith looks like and how these journeys that we, will tell them about are real. So this is my raw, pure emotion. I'm going to just walk you through the timeline before we get to where we are now. So, my wife just told me last night that we are having a gender reveal. I guess it was supposed to be a surprise, but our 4-year-old came out wearing the gender reveal shirt, saying, "Look at my shirt." And I was confused because we ordered them last year. But I didn't know we were finding out tomorrow. So before I find out, I want to document exactly how I'm feeling and what's going through my mind. So let's rewind all the way back to February 2016. We're at a prophetic conference, and the prophet, called me out, told me if I run, then the Lord is going to bless me with that 2-story house I was asking for. And God knows that's my desire. I've always wanted a 2-story house. That was a conversation that at that time, I don't know if I clearly communicated it with my wife, but I've always wanted a 2-story house. And I ran, and I thank God. And then He said He's also going to give you that son that you want. And before then, I don't believe I actually asked God for a son, because at that time we just had Dahlia, who's 9 years old right now, and we had our daughter. It had just been us and her. And when He said that, I knew that I wanted a son to be able to teach and to teach him the things of God, things that I didn't get growing up. Just, true relationship with God, and really just help him be a light and be used by God, and just have him understand God at an early age, just help develop, with the help of God, a good man. So I broke down, and I think since then it's lit a fire in me, knowing that God is concerned and spoke that He's going to bless me with my son. So since then, I've had, realized that that was a true desire of mine. So He told us that February 2016. My wife ended up getting pregnant the same year. And we miscarried, I believe, the first time, and I'll let my wife talk about it, but I'll talk about the emotions of myself. And I remember that around that time, there was a Travis Green song called "The Heal," and he talks about how his wife was pregnant, and doctor said there was some issues, I want to say, with the fluids in her stomach, and basically they, the water had broken. They were, real early, and basically they would have to terminate the pregnancy and, you know, get the baby out. And they said, nah, with faith. And, you know, months later, the baby ended up being born and being kept by God. So at that time, when she found out she miscarried, she immediately, you know, broke down, didn't want to, you know, talk, went to the car. And I kind of wanted the same thing, like saying, no, let's have faith and believe God that this isn't, you know, what's going on, because the prophet told us we're going to have a son. And, you know, she just said, I know what a miscarriage is like, and this is it. And, you know, at the time I felt, you know, almost angry, you know, to a sense, like, why won't you, you know, fight and believe with me for this? You know, but it just was, you know, God's plan at the time. And shortly after, we got pregnant again. And our Christiana, well, back up. We got pregnant again, went to the doctor, heart rate was great. You know, went to sonograms, and, you know, one doctor would say, I see a hot dog. One doctor would say, I see a hamburger. And, you know, we got blood tests back, and we believed God that it was our son no matter what, that this is what the prophet spoke. So we're believing God that we have the faith for it. And I remember once I found out she was pregnant, and at that time, I think every day I was just praying for my son. Every day I'd go in the baby room, you know, lay hands on the crib that we had. I would just, you know, spend time just praying, talking to God, just covering my wife, making sure that she was, you know, protected, that I was doing my job as the priest of my house, and just praying. And every day I would, you know, pray for my son and, you know, believing for my son. And I knew we were going to name him Christian. And, you know, I'd call out his name and, you know, continue to pray. And this, you know, went on for months, up until delivery. And since my wife had a C-section, the first one, doctor said it was going to be a C-section again. So we're packing, getting ready, happy. I'm recording everything. Just us getting ready, getting to the hospital just for memories. And she's on the delivery table, and we're excited. I'm recording, showing my reaction. And doctor said, congratulations on your baby girl. And, you know, we heard the baby crying, and, you know, in the movies when there's an explosion, all you hear is ringing in your ears. That's what I heard after he said, congratulations on your baby girl. And was happy our baby was here. Excited, was happy to meet her when she got here. But it was a devastating blow to my faith, because I just knew that that this is what God was speaking of, and it wasn't the case. So, you know, we cried, we heard the baby crying, we were happy. And then, you know, reality set in shortly, about what had just happened. And, you know, I have video of me talking to her, but I think somewhere in there, I blacked out. Maybe one of the times she was sleeping, because now that I look back to find the videos from the hospital, all those videos are gone, and I don't remember even looking at them once we made it home from the hospital. So I think in the midst of, you know, while she was napping and, you know, me recording videos and going back, I think I might have just deleted all of those videos. So then, you know, as reality kicked in and we have a crying baby at home, you know, she's just being a normal baby. It was a large cloud that was over the house, just as far as what just happened. You know, how we hear when we, you know, have these, you know, boy clothes and all of this stuff. We thought we were bringing home Christian, And I think our parents came to the hospital, and they're pastors. And when we were talking, we came up with the name Christiana. And it was a beautiful name, Christiana Faith, that she got here. So her name was Christiana, Christian with an A. And we got home, and there was a dark cloud that was over our house at the time. And I took off for a couple weeks. I was working in insurance, and I had already taken off for a couple weeks, and they don't give you any type of spousal support or maternity leave like the women get. So I had time that I could take, and they gave me only 2 weeks. So I had to go back to work, and during that time, Christiana was not ready to be here. She was upset about being here. So she would cry during the day. She would cry so much at nighttime, where she would a lot of times only go to sleep if we put her in the swing or she was being held. And it's hard for a mother, when they don't have the support from their husband, having to be at work all day, and it's just them and the baby, and you have hours of crying. So she fell into a bit of postpartum depression, and me myself, I fell into a bit of I guess postpartum depression. Just thinking I had the faith and knew what was going on, that me and God was on the same page, to finding out that that we weren't, that all of the time I was spending praying was not for the baby that ended up coming out. So I think it wasn't until I want to say 6 months later, where we had I feel like a shut-in, and I was asked to pray, and I was I'm huge into prayer, and I finally was freed from the cloud, and I got over it, and we moved forward. And of course I love my baby and showed her nothing but love, but I was just dealing with a lot internally. And then we moved into the 2-story house, and I'm like, all right, here goes the house that the Lord spoke of. And we got the house, and I have Dahlia, my now 9-year-old, I have Christiana, my 4-year-old, and time went by, COVID got here, and next thing we know, we found out we were having a COVID baby. We were in quarantine already, but things happen, and we're pregnant, and we're like, this is it. As pregnancy passed by, we had members in the church who didn't even know that we were pregnant, said that they had dreams about us having twins. Rewind. Boop. Rewind. All right, so we got the 2-story house, and I'm not going to go too much into detail because I want my wife to be able to tell the story, even though I was there. I'll let her tell the story. But in the 2-story house, we got pregnant. I want to say it was before COVID. We got pregnant, and what happened was, so we got pregnant. What happened was, we were playing outside. All the girls and me and my wife came outside, and she was pregnant, a few months pregnant, and she came outside playing. I told her go inside, put your feet up, things like that, relax. And she ended up jumping because she was playing with us, and fell on the ground because she ended up tearing her ACL and her meniscus in her leg. Then, on top of that, being on bed rest, she ended up miscarrying the twins that we were pregnant with. And I'll let her talk about that. Now, before that happened, before anybody knew that we were pregnant, we had one person come and said they had a dream that my wife was maybe carrying, 2 twin boys, and someone else had said, "I seen that you were pregnant, and it was a, beautiful son, curly hair, and all of that." And we were like, all right, well, this must be it. And then my wife miscarries the twins, and that was painful because I was there. I was working from home when that happened, and that was tough to go through and experience. And we went through months of trying to get pregnant again and trying to recreate what we thought, God had did, and to confirm the dreams and things that people had seen, and we were trying, and it was almost like torture. Because it would be like we would try, and every test that we took was saying negative, not pregnant. And it was painful to see. Like, no, not this time, but, where you start thinking that maybe there's something wrong with us, not just a woman, not just a man, but wrong with both of us. So then COVID came around, and we decided that we're not going to try anymore, that we're just gonna, if it happens, it happens, but that's the furthest thing from my mind, that we'll wait a few years from now and, see what God says. So then, what we did is we ended up getting pregnant during COVID, had a COVID baby. And when that happened, we were excited. Of course, only one spouse was allowed in the rooms. We got ultrasounds and things like that. And we had the faith saying that this is the boy, that we're excited, that God is doing something tremendous. Praying and, just thanking God that it, finally came better sooner than later. And the baby was so active, just, kicking and all this other stuff. And she could feel the baby earlier. We were like, heart rate and, everything, that this has to be a boy. And we got the blood test, and the paperwork said clear as day that it's a girl. And now that this is the second time where, medical professionals told us one thing, we knew that we weren't going to be ignorant, as if that's not what the paper said, that I would still have faith and, believe that God is able to work a miracle and, change the genitals and turn it into a boy, that God has the final say, but I won't be ignorant. So here we go again with the spiraling, and to be honest, I'm saved and I'm a Christian, and you find out where your faith is and how mature you are as you go through life, and we end up getting a bottle of wine, and I needed a drink, and we drank that wine bottle from Olive Garden, and just was in silence. Tears were shed, and us sitting there and just thinking about what to do next. And of course we continued with the pregnancy, and my wife got the name, and we decided we were going to name her, if it is truly a girl, Divine Grace, because it's only by the grace of God that she's here, that it took a divine power of God to get her here. So now at this point, we know it's a girl. What I didn't mention was for Christiana, who was born before Divine, my wife had really bad pain on her sciatic nerve, which prevented her from sleeping on her side, and just gave her pain at night where she couldn't sleep, and it was, as if she had insomnia. because she couldn't sleep and she was so uncomfortable. And it was, really bad, and she started getting pelvic pain. And now with Divine, she was now, having a little sciatic pain, but now she was having issues with her pelvic bone, where like the weight of the baby was making it hard for her to walk. She was in pain. It was hard for her to lay down at nighttime because she couldn't sleep on her stomach. They said it's bad to sleep on your back. It's best to sleep on your side. But her pelvic bone was hurting her so bad that she was in so much pain. And she wanted, she looked for relief from the doctor as far as medications, and the doctor said you can take this medicine, but it's possible that, the baby could be dependent on it, and it could affect the baby, this way and that way. And she made a motherly decision to say that I'd rather be in pain than to have something be wrong with my child. So she had to go through months of pain of wearing, try to find bands and support belts and things like that help her slightly, but she was still in pain for months. When there was many nights where she just cried, and I prayed, and just felt defeated that I'm praying, and these things are still happening because we've prayed and seen miracles happen, and been in the ministry where people have been raised from the dead, and people have been healed from all type of things and diseases. Women healed from stage 4 cancer, just different things that you see. And me being the man and the priest and the husband, it's I felt extremely defeated because I'm praying and she's still in pain. I'm praying and she's still some nights going to sleep with tears in her eyes. So fast forward, baby comes here, Divine Grace, and she's beautiful. Got gray eyes, and she's great, and we're happy. Third girl, and doctor asks, what do you want to do? Do you want us to tie your tubes or leave everything how it is? And at that time, I was okay with Deja saying, let's just tie them, because she had went through so much pain, we had went through so much loss, we had went through so much bad news that I would not have blamed her, that I just would have been like, I'm with you, whatever decision you make. And I think I was at that point when I was like, yeah, just do it, because this is too much at this point. 3 kids, 3 girls, no answer, or the promise hasn't arrived. And she said, no, don't tie my tubes. If I change my mind, I'll come back in for the checkup and have y'all do it. So now at this point, we have a baby, and all type of things are going on, COVID. My wife ends up getting COVID from the hospital because she ended up having postpartum preeclampsia, and she goes back into the hospital for a couple of days. Turns out she has COVID. So God actually saved her life because she was having a hard time breathing, and she got care. And I was home with the baby, and we spent a lot of time together, and me just talking to her, and her being, me being happy that she's here. So then, now we're at the point where we have, these matching onesies that I forgot to mention that the lady who had the dream about the twins that we've moved as far as just packing stuff up. And, there's onesies that we have with boys, blue color. There's twin onesies that we have, and we're, trying to decide. And I find this onesie outfit that has a bow tie on it. And anyone who knows me, I wear bow tie, I wear ties. I had a bow tie that looks just like the one that was on the onesie. And I just cried. when I seen it. Whew. Because I imagined how I remember feeling when we got the onesie. And how I remember how I was going to feel when we left the hospital together, wearing the matching onesies with the bow ties, and me not getting to experience that. Whew. And it hurt, having to pack it up and not being my reality. So then I just said, what it is. God's in control. He's sovereign. I didn't spiral this time. I, went back to church, continued, ministering and, doing whatever was needed of me. And there was a couple videos that we've watched, a few months later, and we watched this pastor who, same thing, had girls and was given a promise. And he told the story about how the last gender reveal ended up being a girl when they thought it was going to be a boy. And he had decided to get a vasectomy. And he said the Lord had given him a dream about him being old and grieving the son that he never had. And that just hit me, because my wife had brought up a vasectomy, and I was like, nah, I've never gotten a surgery in my life. But then I thought about it and said that would be extremely selfish of me if she went through all of these procedures to bring my children here. The least I could do, so that she doesn't have to take birth control and have to, gain any weight or have to have any more hormones put in her body. The least I could do is do that, is get a vasectomy. And I watched that video, and he said that when he had a dream that when he was an old man, he was on the porch grieving the son that he never had because he got the vasectomy. And they recorded the journey, and they got pregnant, and the gender reveal, and it was a boy. And I was so happy for them. And for a moment I had the faith, like saying, I want that to be me. But ultimately, God is in control. So when she showed me that video, I want to say a month, a couple weeks passed by, and she took a couple tests and said she wasn't going to tell me until she found out from the doctor as far as the gender, but she knew she wasn't going to be able to hide it from me that long. She told me that we're pregnant again. And I was excited, I'm happy. And then you start remembering the years that had just came before, and what had happened, in the news that we've gotten, and the things that we had to overcome and work through mentally and faith-wise, and me realizing that I needed to mature more in my faith. Now I'm like, Lord, I'm depending on you that you won't embarrass us, that you'll prove that we're not dumb for believing the prophetic word that you spoke 6 years ago, and we're here. So I'm believing, I'm trusting. And once again, like I said, my wife, she told me last night that we are having a gender reveal. And I wanted to get my authentic reaction now. And I started to get anxious, and I had to pray. And, we all know the scripture, cast your cares upon God, for he careth for you. A lot of what we carry isn't designed or meant for us to carry, but it's meant for us to, give it to him. So I've kind of emptied myself and told him how I feel, and how I was angry in the past. He knows that, and how I'm expecting him to show out. So I have the faith. I believe that God, He has done greater things than this. That I know that He is the God of the womb. That when women in the Bible were barren, that it would be God who would who would make them be able to bear children. That whenever there was an issue with the womb, or even an old couple not being able to have children, because of their age or the woman being barren, that it was God who stepped in and was almost like flipping a switch, could change that with a word. So I know that this is nothing for Him. I just pray it is His will this time, because of all that, what my wife has gone through. I want to say that this is it. This is the last one. We're done. The shop is closed after this one. So I want to document this to show how I believe that God is going to use this situation to help many of those who are, believing God for things, believing God for, for children, to have children, that if He spoke a thing that He'll cause it to come to pass. So I'm just excited right now. I have a natural nervousness, just because we've been here before. I'm not ignorant. I'm not going to set myself up for failure, because I know ultimately He decides the yay or nay. But I'm still holding on to the word that He gave me, as far as God saying that He's going to give me my son. So come May, I'm believing that we're going to be welcoming Christian Anthony Smith. And I'm going to do my best to raise him to be the man of God that God wants him to be. So pray my strength. I'm going to post this soon. Broadcast it, and if it's not, then I'm going to look like a fool, but He takes the foolish things to confound the wise. That this, people who don't know God would say that this is foolish to do, but I've seen Him do crazier things with less. That I've looked like a fool before and seen Him show His hand in mightier ways. So I'm just excited for my son, for my daughter's having a baby brother, for my wife having her son, and for me having, even though my daughters are my legacy, but me being able to pass down my name, pass down my last name, to be able to help cultivate a man better than myself, who'll go further than me, who'll go higher than me, who'll have a better relationship with God than me, who'll make better decisions than me, because ultimately I want him to be better than me in every way, and make better decisions, and not have to go through the things I went through. So I'm just thanking God and believing God now. And I got a sermon to write actually, but I thank God even right now for what He's about to do and what He's about to reveal. So I'm sure my wife is going to have some things to say. I wish I had the video from the hospital when Christiana was born, but I'm sure I deleted it. I blacked out and hit delete on all those videos. So sorry about that, but hey, y'all pray for me, pray my strength, pray our strength. And this is going to be used to help those who believe in God in anything. So I trust God. Hey, y'all take care. Appreciate y'all watching. I will be back with the gender reveal video, and we're going to see how that goes. All right? Peace.